to see. We're seeing other brands as well, like Hugo Boss and Nike right now. Adidas with Doodles. Launching a collection, a digital collection, which gives you access to a real world asset, whether it's a sneaker or a sweatshirt. And so we're seeing that tie in more. So I can go on about all the trends, but those are sort of some of the top ones. Another thing I do want to mention, though, is the whole trend of AI and NFTs and blockchain, and I can go on a lot about that being a lawyer, but that's a big trend we're going to see, and we are going to see things kind of, it's not going to stop, but we are going to see more regulation and things being done in a more appropriate way. We just had a legal case just today that was, a big win.
So hold that for when we get to the regulatory part. I just want to take a moment here to introduce a very special person. Ashley Wright just joined us on stage. Welcome, Ashley. Yeah. Ashley, why don't you go ahead and give us a quick background about yourself, and then we start with the first question, which is, what do you see as the upcoming trends, and what are you excited about in this space?
Yeah, for sure. First off, I want to say all of you look so beautiful and look amazing. So I'm excited to see all of you here. My name is Ashley Wright. So for those that are hearing my voice for the very first time, I am an entrepreneur. I am a community builder and educator within the space. So I started within crypto and blockchain back in 2016. So it's been a while. Fell in love with it, and even though I didn't have like a tech or financial background, I'm like, there's opportunities here, and I want to get involved, regardless of what those challenges or gaps may look like. So long story short, was able to launch a 7-week academy program, onboarding people, teaching them everything from like crypto to Web3 to NFTs. And then also we have a really great community femtech, which our booth is over there at the back as well, formerly known as Crypto Babes, and where we do a lot of really great events, helping more women get into the space, become leaders, developers, and even investors in the space as well. So excited to be here. But I guess specifically to your question in terms of trends, yes, Vandana did an amazing job touching on AI, which is exciting. One area for me is actually tokenization of digital assets. Is anybody here like interested in like real estate, investing? Yeah? Okay, perfect. So the idea of taking a physical asset and turn it into a digital asset, right? So now we think of tokenizing property, right? Or it could be artwork, it could be cars, it could be any physical asset that now can be or have a digital twin, right? So now transactions can be a lot faster because we don't have the middleman. And then also we think about fractionalized ownership as well, right? I was actually just giving this example of if I wanted to buy one of those amazing buildings over there, I don't need the full capital. I can buy and purchase a fraction of that building, right? Very similar to how we can own a fraction of Bitcoin. So that's an area that's growing. We see a lot of institutional organizations that are getting into this space that are investing. And I think that's an area that is going to bring trillions of dollars in, and we're just getting started. So I'm really excited about that area.
Great. So we're going to get to the second section, which is looking at examples of key verticals, and then we'll end off regulations and how that affects the entire space. So Ashley, we'll start back with you. If you can go into what kind of verticals does that create? You mentioned real estate. Maybe you want to go into that a little bit, and then everybody can give their opinion as well?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess thinking about the real estate piece a little bit more, right? The fractionalized piece of wanting to own a fraction of a property or a fraction of artwork and still be able to have those same benefits. It's powerful. I have a friend that's based in Vancouver, and her tagline is literally start investing in real estate for as low as $100, right? So when it comes to like the intersection of real estate, there is a tokenization piece. We also have opportunities of like crypto mortgages, which is also really interesting, right? Being able to use your Bitcoin, let's say, that you have invested as collateral for the mortgage, right? Which is powerful because now you don't have to sell your crypto to get into real estate, but now you can actually use it as collateral, which is also very powerful. And then you don't lose your position in the market, which is great as well. And then, of course, using crypto to buy real estate is another area of that too. So there's a few different ways and angles, but that's just to name a few.
Okay, wonderful. And Vandana?
Yeah, I think art was a great use case to show how we can tokenize, assets and make digital assets. And real estate is definitely a trend. But I also see in the legal space a lot of documents and contracts and governance and DAOs. The other big trend we see are DPINs with infrastructure. In fact, I met an investor at Reem's event a couple of days ago and asked them what are they investing in, and he basically did not even mention NFTs or even really tokenization of real-world assets, but he was interested more in infrastructure and mining and DeFi. And a more sophisticated version of that. So, I think we're going to slowly see Web 2 having a Web 3 layer, and we're going to see it more in real world assets and in all over the place, which is exciting.
Go ahead.
Well, I totally agree with what Ashley said on the tokenization part. Even I am, like I already mentioned, I'm super excited about that. And I think the reason that, the investors that you asked about and they did not mention tokenization is because tokenization is actually a very complex topic and especially tokenizing real world assets into digital assets is a whole huge process where even compliance and legalities play a huge role. So I think that's the reason the adoption of Web3 overall is something that is like a key vertical that I'd like to watch, like the whole industry moving more towards blockchain, eliminating that stigma around blockchain, and making the general public understand that crypto is that blockchain is more than just crypto, and that crypto is not a scam. Yeah.
And Vandana, do you want to maybe now take the time to go into how do you think regulations are affecting the growth in the space and like what's happening regarding to that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there's different aspects to it. There's the whole AI aspect, which has been the biggest topic whatsoever in the whole space, which I can go into, and also with NFTs. There is a concern with NFTs and how securities regulations are looking at them, where in some scenarios NFTs are seen as a security. Like we saw that with stoner cats and being under scrutiny and that sort of thing. And I think we have to be very careful. So when it comes to AI, though, I think we're seeing a trend where now that we've got the EU AI Act, we're going to see a lot more, protections around the use of copyright protected works in AI models. And so, when right up until this date, people have been creating NFTs using AI and not realizing that they may be using the work of someone else's. And I think being careful of that so that you don't go offside of the law is important. And I think the EU AI Act is going to act as a real model. So I think just, the more regulation we see in the space, the more mass adoption we're going to have. And I think if we all play a part in that by being careful ourselves about not using other people's works and doing things properly, I think we're going to see mass adoption more.
And since we are at the Futurist conference, I'm going to, conclude this with getting your feedback on where do you think the key trends are headed at this time? So I'm going to start with Athika. We're going to go to the reverse.
Like I already mentioned, I think there's huge potential when it comes to tokenization. There's huge potential when it comes to identity protection and privacy on the blockchain with zero knowledge proofs, and even as a whole. And I think AI also plays a huge role.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're going to see an NFT 2.0, which is going to be different than the NFT that we've seen so far. It's unfortunate that NFTs got such a bad rap because the underlying technology is just so valuable, and that's where it comes into real-world tokenization. And I think if we look at NFTs in a different way and not looking at it like just for trading and speculation, but really the advantages that it provides, like a decentralized storage that gives you this permanent record of something that helps you with an alternative copyright protection. And we start looking at these other advantages that we don't really talk about as much because we're so sidetracked by things. But I really think NFT 2.0, which includes AI, but in a more legal and regulatory way, is the way to go. And if we all kind of work towards that, I think we're going to see mass adoption.
I love that. Has anyone heard of like the Bitcoin or Ethereum ETF? Yeah? Okay, perfect. So the reason I bring that up is because when we saw all of that happen, we saw quite a bit of movement in the market, right? A lot of institutional investors that are not comfortable investing directly in Bitcoin decided to get involved. So I really believe as institutions and institutional investors specifically get more and more involved, we're going to continue to see a lot more growth. So going back to the tokenization piece, yes, it talks about tokenizing real estate, but we also have organizations that are tokenizing gold, tokenizing treasuries, bonds. A lot of these traditional assets are being tokenized. And you might not hear about it as much, but they are doing it, and there's a lot of money that's in the market right now. And so when you're in this space, you always want to follow the money. Because at the end of the day, the top companies, the top players, the top leaders know exactly what's going on. And so I think we're going to continue to see a lot of movement. But I really think as we continue to see the growth in terms of the amount of wealth that's continuing to pour into some of these assets that are now being tokenized, that's where we're going to continue to see things really start to take off. And then, of course, the regulation piece, it's going to also help that. Because I think at the end of the day, it's going to help large organizations and corporations make money, and that's part of it as well.
Yeah. And
Go ahead.
sorry, yeah. And the one more thing that super excites me is how the general public is taking in the adoption for the blockchain, right? Like the other day, I was watching this movie Lift, starring Kevin Hart, and the whole movie was based on a heist on stealing an NFT, and that was really like that shows us how the general public is moving towards blockchain adoption. So yeah. I just wanted to add that. I'm really curious and interested to see how, this technology will affect all of us in some way or the other, in the background or in the foreground. So that's what I'm excited about.
Well, wonderful. So everybody give a hand to these wonderful ladies for coming up here today. And thank you all for being here as well. Thank you.